Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here, and today I'm going to be going over the history of the Muppets. I guess, well, furthermore, me.
Okay, Kermit, I love it, buddy. It's great. Thank you so much. But I'm the host. Leave this to me.
Fine. Well, take it away, Gaydon.
This Gaydon Thacker, and after seeing the new Jim Henson documentary on Disney Plus, The Idea Man, I've got an itch to talk about the Muppets. So I thought I'd talk about the entire history of the Muppets. It's time to play the music, it's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppets Movie History tonight. If you want to hear even more history about the Muppets, then check out The Idea Man on Disney Plus. I should also mention, we're sticking with the Muppets. No Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, or Dog City, or other Jim Henson creations, which are Muppet related. One day I'll probably do a video where we look over all Jim Henson's other work. To begin talking about the Muppets, we actually have to go back to before the Muppets, back to 1955, with Sam and Friends. Sam and Friends was a puppet show that played before The Tonight Show, and would have the first version what would eventually become Kermit the Frog. From 1956 to 1968, the Muppets would make appearances on Tonight Shows and commercials.
You know, people who don't drink Wilkins coffee just blow up sometimes. Oh, that's a lot of... See what I mean?
That was until 1969, with Sesame Street. An educational children's program, Sesame Street was a huge hit, and still continues to be a huge hit 55 years later. Fun fact, the most famous Muppet on Sesame Street, Elmo, didn't make his first appearance until 1980.
We are very near to you.
This is also where Kermit would really become Kermit. But before we get the Muppet Show, we had a lot of Muppet television specials. Hey Cinderella, The Muppets on Puppets, The Great Santa Claus Switch, The Frog Prince, The Muppets Musicians of Brie Man, The Muppets Valentine Show, and The Muppets Sex and Violence. Even though Sesame Street gave the Muppets a huge push in popularity, it also made it very difficult to get the Muppet Show, as now a lot of people saw the Muppets as just for children. But eventually in 1976, the Muppet Show would air on television, and would become a smash global phenomenon. And over its 5 seasons, there was an estimated 235 million people viewed The Muppet Show. Before The Muppet Movie, we would get 2 more TV specials, Animated Audio's Jug Band Christmas, and The Muppets Go to Hollywood. In 1979, The Muppet Movie would be released. Phil would make $65.2 million on a budget of $8 million, so The Muppet Movie was a smash hit, and would be the 10th highest grossing movie of 1979. And would be received very well critically. Before we get to the next movie, we get a few more TV specials. John Denver and the Muppets, Christmas Together, and The Muppets Go to the Movies. In 1981, Jim Henson would cancel The Muppet Show. He felt that he had done all he wanted to do with it, and wanted to try other things. Also in 1981, The Great Muppet Caper would be released. It would still be successful, but a noticeable drop from the Muppet Movie, making $31.2 million on a budget of $14 million. But would still be received well critically, and then we get some more TV specials. The Fantastic Miss Piggy, and Rocky Mountain Adventures with John Denver and the Muppets. In 1984, we would get the final Muppet movie that Jim Henson was alive to see, The Muppets Take Manhattan. It was still successful, but another dip from Muppet Caper, making $25.5 million on a budget of $8 million, and would be received well critically. Later in 1984, we would get an animated spin-off series, titled Muppet Babies, which depicted the Muppets as babies, which ran for a total of 8 seasons. In 1985, there would be a live-action series that paired with Muppet Babies, titled Little Muppet Monsters. It only lasted for a season, and there's rumored to be 10 episodes that were unaired. Over the next couple of years, we would get more TV specials. The Muppets, Celebration of 30 Years, The Tale of the Bunny Picnic, Christmas Toy, and The Muppet Family Christmas. Which, fun fact, was one of the few moments where the Muppets, Sesame Street, and Fraggle Rock were all together. In 1989, we would get the Jim Henson Hour, where we got the Muppets, as well as a lot of other original stuff from Jim. It would only last for 1 season. There would be a TV special titled The Muppets at Walt Disney World. This was because, during this time, Jim Henson and Disney were working out a deal so that way Disney would own the Muppets. This was the last Muppet project that Jim Henson would complete, as he would die just 10 days later. And that brings us to that. On May 16th, 1990, Jim Henson passed away at the age of 53. In November of 1990, another TV special would happen, titled The Muppets Celebrate Jim Henson, where we would get Kermit the Frog's next puppeteer, Steve Whitmire. We'll talk more about him later, trust me. After Jim Henson's death, the deal with Disney would change slightly. Disney now had not full ownership of the Muppets, but would still release and promote the films under their banner. And the first of these would be in 1982, with The Muppet Christmas Carol. It would be a modest success, making $27.7 million on a budget of $12 million, and would do well critically. In 1955, we would get another TV special, Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree. In 1996, Muppet Treasure Island would be released, which would be another success, making $47.2 million on a budget of $5 million, and would do well critically. Also this year, we got a short-lived 2-season series, Muppets Tonight. Pretty much a talk show, but with the Muppets. In 1999, Muppets from Space would be released. It would be the first Muppet movie to bomb at the box office, making $22.3 million on a budget of $24 million, and would be received not greatly, but also not badly. In 2002, the first straight-to-television, straight-to-DVD, VHS Muppet movie was released, titled Kermit's Swamp Years, serving as a prequel to the Muppet movie. 3 months later, we begin their straight-to-television release. Then later on to VHS and DVD, It's a Very Muppet Christmas Movie, which would be the last Muppet movie made before Disney fully bought the Muppets in 2004. And for anyone in the UK, congratulations, because according to Wikipedia, in December this year in the UK, it will get a theatrical release. As I mentioned in 2004, Disney would fully buy the Muppets, but the Jim Henson Company would still have a level of control. So now that Disney fully owned the Muppets, they decided to do their first great thing with the Muppets, with the 2005 straight to television, later DVD and VHS, The Muppets Wizard of Oz. And it got pretty negative reviews. Hey, would you look at that? In 2006, for one season, a French version of The Muppet Show would be aired on television, released in France, titled Muppet TV. It was pretty much a France remake of The Muppet Show. In 2008, a pair of specials was released on the Disney Channel, both featuring the Muppets, titled Studio DC, Almost Live. In 2008, we began another direct-to-DVD Muppet movie, A Muppet's Christmas Letters to Santa. In the 2010s, the Muppets had a brief comeback, starting with The Muppets 2011, which made $165.2 million on a budget of $45 million, being a big success, and so far the highest grossing Muppet movie. It's also the highest rated Muppet movie. In 2013, a television special titled Lady Gaga and the Muppets, Holiday Spectacular, was aired on television. In 2014, we would have what is so far the last theatrically released Muppet movie, Muppets Most Wanted. It would not make nearly as much as the previous film, making only $80 million on a budget of $50 million. This was definitely due to the film not being advertised that much. In 2015, a short-lived series of shorts was aired on Disney Junior, titled Muppet Moments. Also in 2015, we began a one-season office-style mockumentary of the Muppets, simply titled The Muppets. The series got generally good reviews, with one main complaint that it was more dull than other Muppet projects, but to some people that was also like a plus. Personally, I love it. I binged it twice, and I wish it would have gotten more seasons. In 2018, a reboot of Muppet Babies would be released on Disney Junior. It will last for 3 seasons. In 2020, a series on Disney Plus will be released, titled Muppets Now, which will run for 1 season, with a total of 6 episodes. In 2021, we will get the first direct-to-streaming Muppet movie, Muppets Haunted Mansion, and was received pretty well critically. And that brings us to the last Muppet project as of late, the streaming series on Disney Plus, The Muppets Mayhem, which received really good reviews, but was cancelled after the first season. And at the moment, we have no idea what's happening with the Muppets. Besides, you may have noticed watching this video, the Muppets went from being a global phenomenon to be reduced to streaming. During the 70s and 80s, the Muppets ruled the world. The Muppets had dominated movies, TV, merchandise, but everything started to fall in the 90s, probably because of the death of Jim Henson. But for the most part, the Muppets were still popular in the 90s. And then the late 90s happened, and they began to fall just further and further and further. And throughout the 2000s, that just got even worse. By the late 2000s, you could say the Muppets were pretty much forgotten. But in the early 2010s, the Muppets did have a comeback from 2011 to 2015. During this time, the Muppets were kind of everywhere, but after their performance Most Wanted and the cancellation of the series, the Muppets have sadly fallen back into obscurity. They have been forgotten again. The Muppets have been tried to have been brought back several times, but Disney and the Jim Henson Company made one mistake that will make the resurgence of the Muppets very difficult, firing Kermit the Frog's puppeteer, Steve Whitmire, in 2016. Because ever since, when any Muppet projects have been released, people keep pointing out how Matt Vogel Kermit the Frog's new puppeteer doesn't sound like Kermit the Frog.
Anyhow, I am so glad you're all here. What fun. I didn't announce that I was going to be here as a frog, you see. I just thought I'd show up, and that's kind of what I did.
First up for me is, well, it's water. Yeah. You see, hydration is very important for everybody, but it's particularly important for us frogs.
The Jim Henson Company said they wanted modern-day Kermit to be more like Jim's Kermit.
You see, there is this pig in my life. Now, if I talk about other women, it's dangerous to my health.
Then why don't you marry
She'll break
her?
me in two, you know.
Are you living together? Are you sleeping with Miss Piggy? Can we just get right down to it? Are you sleeping with Miss Piggy? I want to know.
This is
20 years
personal
I watched
stuff.
you on television.
You can't come on television and ask me about... I'm on Sesame Street, for goodness sakes.
But I hate to tell them, Jim's Kermit is just not Kermit anymore. Steve changed Kermit in a way that when you put them side by side, they're different, but they are still the same character. It's obvious that Matt Vogel is trying way too hard to sound like Jim Henson's Kermit. Steve Whitmire did not sound like Jim Henson's Kermit. His Kermit voice is different, but you can still tell it's Kermit. And while yes, Matt's voice has gotten better over the years, it's still nowhere near good enough. It's obvious he's trying his absolute best. Matt Vogel is an amazing puppeteer. He performs dozens of Muppets, but he just can't do Kermit the Frog, and it's not his fault. Steve was reportedly fired for being too difficult. He said they were making Kermit do things that he wouldn't do. Man, I mean, he played it for 27 years. I think he just might know. And he was picked by Jim Henson himself to be his predecessor.
So you got tapped to play
For Kermit. Yeah.
Now how, I mean, because Jim did a lot. I mean, Jim wasn't just Kermit. Jim,
Right.
again, was everywhere. How, I mean, did you guys get together and go, who do we think can, wait, I mean, was there,
No, it was a much more organic thing than that. And it's very much the Jim method of doing things. Rarely did Jim ever hold auditions for puppet characters. He basically had his core team of people, and then there were people beyond that core team that were kind of a secondary tier of a core team. And he said, well, this is a perfect character for you, you know, or you. And it really wasn't a competition. There was no audition per se. Right. He'd take you to dinner and he'd say, do you want to do this character? And you'd say yes, or you'd say no, you know, and that was that. But he had a sense of the right character matched with the right performer's sensibilities. So evidently, unbeknownst to me, he had gone to his wife Jane, and I think maybe Frank, a couple of people, and said he didn't know he was going to die, but he thought he was going to become, because he's selling his company. He said, it looks like and I'm paraphrasing, of course, I don't know the exact conversation, right. But he said, I may become too busy to continue being a performer because he's going to be this huge creative person, force at Disney. And he said, I'm thinking about, if that should happen, I might ask Steve if he wants to do Kermit going forward. But he and I never talked about it.
Really?
It wasn't a plan. It was a notion, right? So when he actually passed away, Jane and his wife and Brian and Frank, called me into their hotel room one night. We're still all at Disney World because everything's still going on with Disney, right. And asked me if I'd be willing to give it a shot. And Jane said, he had essentially, for all intents and purposes, had chosen the next person to do this. Right. So that said to me that Jim considered the Muppets, he had his legacy, right. But within that legacy, he looked at it as a lineage. He wanted to pass this on to specific people.
He was picked to be Kermit the Frog by Kermit the Frog. Nobody's mad at Matt Vogel. It's not his fault that he can't do Kermit the Frog. But after seeing Steve perform Kermit for so many years, the little touches with Kermit is just off with Matt Vogel. We're losing so many years of good Steve Whitmire Kermit the Frog. If they want the Muppets to be brought back, then you have to get a better puppeteer for Kermit, because Kermit the Frog is the main character of the Muppets. Now, Kermit isn't always the main character, but he's always one of the main characters. Kermit the Frog is bigger than anything Disney owns. The only thing that Disney owns that rivals Kermit is Mickey Mouse, and technically, they don't own that anymore. Nobody wants to watch the Muppets when Kermit the Frog isn't Kermiting. It's like if nobody liked Indiana Jones, or if nobody liked Woody and Toy Story. Nobody wants to watch something where the main character is not enjoyable to watch. But do you know what would even be better than getting a new puppeteer for Kermit the Frog? Getting back Steve Whitmire! I am sure he would return in a heartbeat if Disney and Jim Henson Company publicly apologized to him. If Disney just apologized, that would fix a lot of their problems. And another thing, the Jim Henson Company said Steve Whitmire turned Kermit into this bitter, depressed character. But that's just not true, because did he write what Kermit did? No! That's you idiot! If they think Kermit the Frog was turned into that kind of character, then they did it, not Steve. So, at the moment, the Muppets have been forgotten again. Will they have another resurgence? I hope so, but only time will tell. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the Muppets? And do you think they'll have a comeback? Bye guys for now! Bye, Scrum Thacker.